From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. It's time for voters in Saskatchewan to choose their next government.
The two main contenders to form the next government are the Saskatchewan Party and the NDP. The Sask Party is seeking a fifth straight majority, with current party leader Scott Moe promising on the campaign trail to cut income taxes and allow families to claim up to $4,000 in home rental expenses annually. As for the NDP, Carla Beck is seeking the party's first election win since 2003. Among the promises she's made on the campaign trail include canceling the provincial sales tax on groceries and children's clothes, as well as installing a plan to ensure public infrastructure money stays in Saskatchewan. David Bowles, the Canadian Press.
The recounts have been done and the mail-in votes have been tallied, but British Columbia's election has yet to be settled, more than a week after voters cast their ballots. Today, all eyes will be on the Metro Vancouver seat of Surrey-Guildford when counting resumes, with 226 absentee votes still to be tabulated. As of this morning, the BC Conservatives hold a 12-vote advantage over the NDP in the riding. If there is a change there, it could give the New Democrats the 47 seats required to form a majority. It's the first full day of campaigning in the Nova Scotia provincial election. Progressive Conservative leader Tim Houston called the snap election yesterday, setting Election Day for November 26th. The three main party leaders have events in the Halifax area this morning. Houston is scheduled to make an announcement in the city's north end. Liberal leader Zach Churchill is holding a news conference about transparency and accountability at the party's headquarters, and NDP leader Claudia Chender will hold a media availability on health care. Canada's reliance on food banks has soared. According to data from Food Banks Canada, the country hit a grim new milestone last March with more than 2 million recorded visits. That number is nearly double the monthly visits 5 years ago in March 2019 and 6% above last year's record-breaking figure. The organization's annual survey of food bank use in Canada says rapid inflation, housing costs, and insufficient social supports are driving poverty and food insecurity. And finally, the Trump campaign has reaction following one of its own events. It seems a warm-up act for the former U.S. president's appearance at Madison Square Garden caused quite a stir.
Some of the 30 warm-up speakers for Trump at Madison Square Garden under fire for the language they used.
She is the devil, whoever screamed that out. She is the Antichrist.
The Trump campaign distancing itself from comedian Tony Hinchcliffe after this joke about Puerto Rico.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
The Trump campaign saying this joke does not reflect the views of President Trump or the campaign. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
This is the Canadian Press. In sports, starting off in the NHL, where Logan O'Connor scored at 13 minutes and 29 seconds of the third period, snapping a 2-2 tie and giving the Colorado Avalanche a 5-4 victory over the visiting Ottawa Senators. The Edmonton Oilers and Montreal Canadiens, they both picked up wins on the road Sunday. The Oilers edged the Detroit Red Wings 3-2 in overtime. Meanwhile, the Canadiens clipped the Flyers 4-3. In MLS postseason action, the top-seeded Los Angeles Football Club edged the visiting Vancouver Whitecaps 2-1 in the opening game of their best-of-3 series. Game 2 goes next Sunday at BC Place Stadium. Over to the NFL now, where Brock Purdy threw a touchdown pass and ran for another to send the San Francisco 49ers into their bye week on a high note with a 30-24 victory over the visiting Dallas Cowboys. And Shohei Ohtani is expected to play for LA in Game 3 of the World Series in New York. Despite partially dislocating his left shoulder in Game 2, the Dodgers lead the Yankees 2-0. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.